They are convinced that they are
We do not accept this distortion from the inside in our market.
In Brussels, Hungarian Foreign Minister Peter Szijjártó shattered the diplomatic script with a blistering attack on the EU, branding the bloc's Ukraine strategy as madness, a madhouse, and an illusion engineered by leaders who refuse to face reality.
If you ask me what would be the most restrained term to use for today and the conditions here, it would be madness. Quite simply, madness reigned. Madness has reigned here in Brussels. Today, the agenda of the foreign ministers' meeting on Ukraine went through as if nothing had happened. We negotiated another $100 billion in aid for Ukraine, as if it were not the scene of one of the worst corruption scandals in European political history. Today, at a meeting of foreign ministers, there was a motion to send more money to Ukraine, preferably to cover the next few years of the Ukrainian state and the Ukrainian army. They proposed to send more weapons to Ukraine, with the possibility of using the European Defense Capabilities Facility to buy weapons for Ukraine. And there was a proposal to sanction Russian energy companies, which would obviously be another blow to the European economy.
He escalated sharply, accusing Ukraine of being controlled by a war mafia riddled with corruption and fighting an unwinnable war funded by European people's money that he claims is being siphoned off through a corrupt power system. His most explosive charge came when he declared that corruption is another reason to admit Ukraine to the EU, calling it the highest level of madness, and directly undermining the bloc's enlargement policy and its moral foundations.
Ukraine will be the scene of one of the worst corruption scandals in European political history. The initiative in Brussels is to send more money and more weapons to Ukraine and to impose new sanctions on energy supplies. And let's do all this for an unwinnable war. This is what I call madness. But unfortunately, this can be taken even further, because today several foreign minister colleagues have said that the corruption scandal in Ukraine is another reason to admit Ukraine to the European Union.
Szijjártó accused EU leaders of sabotaging peace, insisting they do not want peace, and are actively undermining any initiative that could stop the fighting, a direct challenge to the Union's stated diplomatic efforts. He dismissed the central Western narrative that Ukraine is defending Europe, calling it a lie, and argued that European security has nothing to do with Ukraine, shattering the premise of the EU's military and financial backing. Turning to energy, he warned that sanctions were pushing Europe toward suicidal collapse, vowed Hungary would veto all moves targeting Russian oil and nuclear sectors, and claimed Hungarian households could face tripled energy bills if Brussels continued on this path. In a final provocation, he said the United States understands reality better than Brussels, accusing EU leaders of ignoring geography and insisting Hungary simply cannot function without Russian energy, a rhetorical strike widening the fracture within the European bloc.